Ladies and gentlemen, if I could only teach you one thing, just one, it would be this. You are one decision away from an entirely different life. One decision away from breaking every limit that's held you back. One decision away from turning your pain into power, your fear into fuel, your doubt into drive. The world isn't waiting to give you permission. It's waiting for you to wake up and remember who you are. Because the moment you decide to own your power, everything in your life begins to change. And if I could only teach you one thing, this would be it, the power to decide who you are right now in this very moment. Not tomorrow, not after you achieve something, not when you feel ready, but right now. Because your entire life, every result you have, every limitation you've accepted, every dream you've postponed, it all begins and ends with the decisions you make about who you are and what you believe you deserve. And most people drift through life thinking they're waiting for clarity, waiting for the right time, waiting for permission. But life doesn't give you permission. It gives you opportunities disguised as problems, pain, and pressure. The moment you decide to stop waiting and start creating, that's the moment your life changes. You don't need another plan, you need a new standard. You need to raise what you're willing to tolerate, because the quality of your life will always be determined by the standards you set for yourself. And every person you admire, every success story you've ever heard, they weren't lucky, they made a decision. They said, I will no longer live like this, I will not settle for this version of myself, and when they did, something inside them ignited. That same spark exists in you. It's been there all along, buried under excuses, fears, and the stories you've told yourself about what's possible. But the truth is, your life doesn't change when you get more resources. It changes when you become more resourceful. And you have within you the ability to turn any pain into power, any fear into fuel, and any obstacle into opportunity. But it begins with mastering your mind, because if you don't control your mind, it will control you. Most people let their thoughts run wild. They let their doubts dictate their decisions, and their emotions determine their destiny. But the most successful, fulfilled, unstoppable people, they take command of their internal world. They decide what things mean. They train their mind to see possibilities when everyone else sees problems. And think about it. Two people can face the same challenge, lose the same job, experience the same heartbreak, yet one falls apart and the other rises stronger. What's the difference? It's not the circumstance, it's the meaning they give it. When you believe that everything in life happens for you, not to you, you shift from victim to creator. You stop asking, why me, and start asking, what is this trying to teach me? And that shift in meaning is the birth of personal power. It's what allows you to grow through what you go through, because you cannot control what happens to you, but you can control what you do about it, and that changes everything. And if you want to transform your life, you must learn to change your state, your emotional and mental state. Every decision you've ever made in your life came from a state of certainty, fear, excitement, or doubt. Change your state and you change your behavior and you change your results. Too many people try to think their way into a new life, but you can't think your way out of a pattern you feel stuck in. You have to move. Motion creates emotion. Get up, move your body, breathe differently, use your voice, engage your energy. In seconds, your physiology can shift your psychology. And when you learn to change your state at will, you become unstoppable. Because no matter what life throws your way, you have the power to shift from fear to courage, from frustration to focus, from doubt to determination. That's mastery, not controlling the world around you, but mastering the world within you. But here's the truth. The life you want won't show up because you want it. It will show up because you demand it from yourself. Desire without commitment is just wishful thinking. You can hope all day long, but hope doesn't change your life, hunger does. The hunger to grow, to give, to break through every limitation and step into your potential. When you're hungry enough, you'll find a way. You'll stop saying, I can't, and start asking, how can I? You'll stop negotiating with your goals and start executing on your vision. And there's a power inside you that you haven't even begun to tap into yet. You've settled for comfort when you were built for greatness. You've let fear whisper lies about what's possible. You've played small because the world told you to stay in line. But deep down, you know you were made for more. That voice inside, the one that says, I can do this. The one that won't quiet down no matter how much you try to ignore it. That's your truth. It's your soul demanding that you rise, and every single limitation you believe you have was learned. And anything learned can be unlearned. Fear is nothing more than a pattern, a habit of focus. If you focus on what you can't control, you'll always feel powerless. But if you focus on what you can control, your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, you reclaim your power instantly. You don't need certainty to move forward, you just need courage to take the first step, and you were not put on this earth to live a life of quiet frustration. You were put here to grow, to expand, to give, to live with purpose. Growth is what makes life feel alive. It's not the achievement that fulfills you, it's the progress. The moment you stop growing, you start dying inside. You were designed to evolve, to overcome, to stretch beyond what you thought possible. And the moment you make that your identity, the moment you decide, I am growth, I am purpose, I am unstoppable, everything changes. And so, if I could only teach you one thing, it would be this. You are not your past, you are not your fears, you are not your circumstances. You are the creator of your meaning, the master of your emotions, and the architect of your destiny. You can decide right now to break the pattern, to rewrite the story, to raise your standards and demand more from yourself than ever before. And you can choose to stop blaming the world and start owning your power. You can decide that your pain will not be wasted, that your failures will become fuel, that your challenges will sculpt your strength. You can decide that every day from this point forward will be lived with intention, with energy, with purpose. And there's a version of you waiting to be unleashed, a version that's bold, focused, unstoppable. That version of you is not somewhere in the future, it's here. It's inside you right now, waiting for one decision, the decision to step up. The decision to stop being limited by what you were and start becoming who you were meant to be. And the only thing standing between you and that life is the story you keep telling yourself. Change that story, and you'll change everything. Because life doesn't give you what you want, it gives you who you are. Decide who you are, and the world will rearrange itself to match your new identity. And that's the one thing I would teach you. Your power begins the moment you decide to own it. And when you decide to own that power, you begin to understand that nothing in your life has ever truly been random. Every heartbreak, every rejection, every disappointment has been shaping you, molding you, refining you for this exact moment. The universe doesn't give you struggles to break you. It gives you struggles to build you. The pain you felt wasn't punishment, it was preparation. Preparation for the strength, the awareness, and the wisdom you're stepping into now. And you see, people spend their entire lives running from discomfort, not realizing that discomfort is the birthplace of transformation. Growth never happens in the comfort zone. Comfort is the enemy of progress. Every time you choose comfort over challenge, you trade your potential for momentary ease. But every time you lean into discomfort, every time you face fear instead of fleeing it, you evolve. You discover just how powerful you really are. And when you feel fear, that's not a signal to stop. That's a signal you're on the edge of expansion. Fear is just energy, and when you learn to use that energy, it becomes fuel. The difference between those who live extraordinary lives and those who don't isn't that one feels no fear. It's that one acts in spite of it. Courage isn't the absence of fear, It's deciding that something else matters more. And if you could truly grasp the power you hold when you change what you focus on, you would realize that nothing external has control over you. Your focus determines your feelings, and your feelings determine your actions. Focus on what's missing, and you'll feel lack. Focus on what's wrong, and you'll feel defeated. But focus on what's possible, on what you can give, on how you can grow, and you'll feel unstoppable. Where your focus goes, energy flows. So ask yourself, what have you been feeding with your focus? Because what you consistently focus on becomes your reality. And when you start to direct your focus with intention, you awaken something incredible within you. You start to feel alive again. You start to take ownership of your emotions, your habits, your energy. You stop reacting and start creating. You stop wishing and start doing, because you begin to realize that life isn't about what you get, it's about who you become. And who you become is shaped by what you repeatedly do, even when it's hard, even when no one's watching, even when you don't feel like it. And discipline is not punishment. It's the highest form of self-respect. It's saying, I am worthy of my own commitment. Every time you follow through on what you said you'd do, you build trust with yourself. And self-trust is the foundation of confidence. Without self-trust, you'll doubt every decision. But when you trust yourself, you move differently, you speak with conviction, you act with certainty, you walk with power. And that's when momentum begins to build. Success is never one giant leap. It's the compounding of small, consistent actions done with passion and purpose. The problem is, most people give up before the momentum kicks in. They plant the seed, but when they don't see results fast enough, they stop watering it. They let impatience steal their destiny, but what they don't realize is that everything great takes time to grow. Roots must form before fruit appears. And your dreams are no different. You might not see results right away, but that doesn't mean progress isn't happening. The universe is watching your consistency. It's testing your hunger. It's asking, do you really want this? Are you willing to keep going even when it's hard, even when you're tired, even when no one's clapping for you yet? Because when you keep going, something magical happens, resistance breaks, and when it breaks, everything starts to move faster than you ever imagined. But to reach that point, you must protect your energy. You must be intentional about who you allow around you. Because energy is contagious, negativity spreads faster than any virus. Surround yourself with people who challenge you, who inspire you, who remind you of your greatness when you forget. If you spend your time with those who settle, who complain, who live in fear, their mindset will infect yours. But when you align yourself with those who push boundaries, who think big, who refuse to give up, you start to rise to their level. And you are the average of the standards you accept, not just from yourself, but from everyone around you. So raise your circle, raise your standards, and your life will rise with it. Stop asking for validation from people who don't understand your vision. Stop explaining your dreams to those who gave up on their own. The vision was given to you for a reason. They don't have to see it, you do. And there's something powerful that happens when you stop seeking approval and start seeking alignment. Approval is external, alignment is internal. Approval fades, alignment fuels. When you're aligned with who you are and what you're meant to do, you move with power. You stop chasing and start attracting. You stop begging for opportunities and start creating them. And in that space of alignment, life begins to respond differently to you. People, resources, and ideas begin to show up. Doors that were once closed suddenly open. Because the moment you fully commit, not halfway, not when it's convenient, but all in, the universe mirrors that energy back to you. Life rewards the bold, not the hesitant. The world moves for those who move first. And there will be moments when you're exhausted, when you feel like you've given everything and you still don't see progress. That's when you must remind yourself growth happens in the dark. Just because you can't see the results doesn't mean the work isn't working. Trust the process. Keep your standards high, your mindset sharp, and your faith unshakable. And every storm you face is carving a deeper level of strength within you. Every failure is refining your strategy, and every rejection is redirection. The pain you feel today is the foundation of the power you'll stand on tomorrow. So stop seeing obstacles as enemies and start seeing them as invitations to evolve, to strengthen, to expand. And you were not designed to live an average life. There is nothing ordinary about you. The very fact that you're alive, breathing, thinking, feeling, that means something. You were chosen to experience this life, to make an impact, to contribute something that no one else can. But you can't do that if you're constantly doubting yourself. You can't rise if you're chained to your past. You can't create new possibilities with an old identity. And so it's time to let go of the story that says you're not enough, that says it's too late, that says you don't have what it takes. Those are lies. They were never yours to carry. Every time you tell yourself those stories, you reinforce the cage you're trying to escape. But the moment you change that story, the moment you declare, I am capable, I am worthy, I am powerful, the walls begin to crumble. And you were born with infinite potential, but potential means nothing without belief. Belief is the key that unlocks everything. When you truly believe, not just in your head, but in your heart, your actions change. You start showing up differently. You stop making excuses. You start becoming the kind of person your dreams require you to be. And there's a version of you on the other side of your fear that's stronger, wiser, and freer than you've ever been. But you'll never meet that version by staying where you are. You have to step into uncertainty. You have to take the leap before you see the net. Because faith isn't believing when you see results, it's believing before you do. And every day you have a choice, to stay the same or to evolve. To repeat the past or to create the future. To be driven by fear or fueled by vision. And that choice, that single decision, will determine everything. The quality of your life doesn't come from the conditions you face. It comes from the choices you make in response to them. And decide today that you will no longer live by default. You will live by design. Decide that your potential is worth the pain. Your dreams are worth the discipline. Your growth is worth the grind. Decide that no matter what happens, you will keep showing up, keep believing, keep pushing, keep becoming. And because when you make that one powerful decision, you'll realize something profound. You were never waiting for the world to change. The world was waiting for you. And the world was waiting for you to wake up to who you really are, waiting for you to stop dimming your light to fit into places you've outgrown, waiting for you to stop seeking safety in the familiar when your destiny is found in the unknown. Because deep down, you already know that the life you're meant to live will require more of you than the one you're living now. It will demand your courage, your discipline, your faith, and your willingness to let go of everything that no longer serves your evolution. And you can't reach new levels while holding on to old limitations. You can't step into your greatness while clinging to comfort. Growth requires shedding. Just as a snake must shed its skin to continue growing, you must be willing to release identities, habits, and attachments that have kept you small. Every ending you face is not destruction, it's transformation. It's life clearing space for a new version of you to emerge. But here's the truth, most people fear letting go because they've tied their identity to who they've been, not who they can become. They're addicted to familiarity even when it hurts. They choose certainty over potential. They say they want to change, but they hold onto the very things that keep them stuck. You cannot create a new life from the energy of the old one. You must become someone new, someone aligned, focused, and relentless in their pursuit of growth. And you already have everything within you to become that person. You have strength you haven't accessed, courage you haven't called upon, and wisdom you haven't applied. Life will keep giving you opportunities to use them. That's what challenges are, opportunities disguised as problems. They're designed to show you what you're capable of when you stop running and start responding. And when you stop saying, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this trying to make of me?" your entire experience of life shifts. Suddenly, pain becomes purpose, rejection becomes redirection, and struggle becomes strategy. You start to realize that the very things you thought were breaking you were actually building you. And you were never meant to go through life avoiding pain. You were meant to use it. Pain is feedback. It's your soul's way of saying something needs to change. It's a call to grow, to evolve, to rise higher. Most people try to numb it, suppress it, or run from it, but what you resist persists. What you face, you can fix. What you embrace, you can transform, and when you feel pain, don't escape it, explore it. Ask what it's trying to teach you. Maybe it's showing you where you've been settling. Maybe it's pointing out where you've been out of alignment. Maybe it's reminding you that you've forgotten who you are. Whatever the message is, don't ignore it. Listen to it, because the moment you face your pain with awareness instead of avoidance, it loses its control over you. And the same is true for fear. Fear will always exist, but it only has power when you listen to it more than your vision. Every great achievement begins on the other side of fear. The people who seem fearless aren't without fear. They've simply learned how to move forward with it. They've learned that courage isn't about confidence, it's about commitment. It's about deciding that your dreams are more important than your doubts. And commitment, that's the real difference maker. Most people are interested in transformation, but few are committed to it. Interest says, "I'll do it when it's convenient." Commitment says, "I'll do it no matter what." The world doesn't reward those who dabble, it rewards those who decide. Once you make a true decision, everything else starts to align. Opportunities appear, people show up, momentum builds. But it starts with that decision, that moment of absolute clarity when you declare, "This is who I am now. This is the standard I live by." And you can't live an extraordinary life with ordinary effort. You can't have a powerful destiny with a passive attitude. The results you want require energy, focus, and discipline isn't about restriction, it's about freedom. It's the freedom that comes from knowing you control your habits, instead of being controlled by them. It's the freedom that comes from doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. Because your feelings don't determine your future, your actions do. And every time you push past comfort, every time you keep your word to yourself, every time you show up when it's easier to quit, you build inner strength. That strength compounds, it becomes confidence, it becomes certainty, it becomes the unshakable belief that no matter what happens, you will figure it out. That's what separates those who succeed from those who give up. Not talent, not luck, but relentless consistency. And consistency isn't glamorous. It's not fireworks and applause. It's early mornings, late nights, quiet effort when no one's watching. It's doing the small things right over and over again until they become who you are. Success is never an event, it's a habit. It's the daily decision to keep going, to keep improving, to keep believing. And if you want to change your life, stop waiting for motivation, build momentum. Motivation gets you started, but momentum keeps you moving. The hardest part is the beginning, but once you push through resistance, the energy starts to carry you. Progress, even small progress, creates emotion, and emotion fuels action. That's how you create unstoppable momentum, by stacking small wins until your confidence becomes unbreakable. But in that process, remember this: success without fulfillment is failure. You can achieve everything you think you want: the money, the recognition, the achievements, and still feel empty inside. True fulfillment comes from growth and contribution. It comes from knowing that who you've become matters, that you've made a difference, that your life stands for something greater than yourself. And you weren't born just to survive. You were born to contribute, to serve, to lift others as you rise. The fastest way to break through your own limits is to help someone else break through theirs. When you give, not because you have to, but because it's who you are, you activate the deepest level of purpose. Purpose turns struggle into strength and effort into excellence. And so, if you ever feel lost, if you ever doubt your worth, if you ever forget what you're capable of, shift your focus from yourself to service. Ask, who can I help today? How can I add value right now? Because when you live with a spirit of giving, life gives back tenfold. The more you give, the more you grow. The more you grow, the more alive you feel. And you are not defined by what you have. You are defined by what you give. And when you start giving your best energy, your best attitude, your best effort, even when no one's watching, the universe takes notice. Life opens up to those who show up. And there's a power inside you waiting to be unleashed, a version of you that's not afraid to fail, not afraid to feel, not afraid to fight for the life you know you deserve. That version of you doesn't shrink in the face of adversity, it rises. It doesn't wait for perfect conditions, it creates them. It doesn't need external validation, it validates itself through action. And every single day you have a chance to step into that version. Every sunrise is an invitation to rise higher than you did yesterday. And it starts with one decision, the decision to live fully, to give completely, to grow relentlessly, to love deeply, and to never settle for less than what you were created for. And because there's nothing more powerful than a human being who has remembered who they are. One who knows that they are not limited by circumstance, not confined by fear, not held back by the past. One who has realized that they are the author, not the audience, the creator, not the victim. That realization, that awakening, that moment of ownership, it changes everything. And when it happens, you begin to move differently, you speak differently, you think differently. You walk into rooms with presence, you handle challenges with calm, and you face the future with certainty. Because you're no longer trying to find your power, you're living from it. You've stopped chasing validation and started embodying truth. You've stopped waiting for signs and started being one. And when you reach that state, when you truly align with that truth, there's nothing, absolutely nothing, that can stop you. And because when you reach that state, when you truly align with that truth, there's nothing, absolutely nothing, that can stop you. The fear that once paralyzed you becomes your teacher. The doubt that once held you back becomes your reminder of how far you've come. The pain that once broke you becomes proof that you're unbreakable. You stop asking life to be easy and start demanding that you be stronger. You stop wishing for comfort and start craving challenge, because you finally understand that pressure is not your enemy. It's your path to greatness. And everything you want, every dream, every goal, every breakthrough, is waiting for you on the other side of resistance. But most people never reach it because they misinterpret that resistance. They think when it gets hard, it's a sign to stop. But the truth is, when it gets hard, it's a sign to keep going. The resistance means you're moving in the right direction. It means you're pushing the boundaries of who you used to be. Growth feels like friction because you're stretching into a higher version of yourself. And the moments when you feel most uncertain, most uncomfortable, most alone, those are the exact moments when transformation is happening. You just can't see it yet. Growth is invisible before it becomes undeniable. That's why faith is so powerful. Faith is trusting in what you can't yet see, believing in what you can't yet feel, and staying committed when nothing seems to be working. And you might not realize it now, but every act of persistence, every small step forward, every decision to keep believing, it's compounding. It's building a force within you that will eventually make you unstoppable. That's how breakthroughs happen. Not in a single moment of glory, but in thousands of moments of quiet endurance. Every time you refuse to quit, you're casting a vote for your future self. And one day, that future self will thank you. That version of you will look back and say, I made it because you refused to give up. I became this because you chose to grow when it was easier to stay small. That's the power of decisions made in silence, the ones that no one sees. But everyone eventually feels through the life you create. And you don't need everyone to believe in you. You just need to believe in you. You don't need the world's approval. You need your own commitment. The moment you stop waiting for validation and start validating yourself, the game changes. You begin to attract people and opportunities that match your new energy. Life mirrors what you project. When you radiate conviction, the world responds with cooperation. And that's why identity is everything. You can't outperform the image you hold of yourself. You can set goals, you can write plans, you can dream big. But if you still see yourself as the person who's not enough, you'll sabotage every step forward. The only way to create lasting change is to shift your identity. You must decide who you are and then act like it's already true. Don't wait until you achieve it to believe it. Believe it until you achieve it. And because your brain is always trying to stay consistent with who you think you are. If you see yourself as someone disciplined, you'll act with discipline. If you see yourself as someone confident, you'll carry yourself that way. But if you keep identifying as someone who struggles, who fails, who can't, then no strategy, no technique, no motivation will save you. Change the identity, and the behavior will follow, and you were born to be more than you've allowed yourself to be. Every limitation you've accepted came from a story, someone else's opinion, an old experience, a fear disguised as logic. But those stories aren't truth. They're just patterns, and patterns can be rewritten. The moment you challenge them, they begin to lose power. You have the ability to rewrite the entire script of your life. But first, you must stop repeating the old one. And you can't keep feeding your past and expect to create your future. You can't keep focusing on what went wrong and expect things to go right. Your energy must align with your intention. If your vision is growth, then your focus must be forward. What's ahead of you is infinitely greater than what's behind you, but you'll never see it if you keep staring in the rear view mirror. And the only thing the past is good for is perspective. Use it to learn, not to limit. Use it to build wisdom, not walls. The person you were yesterday served their purpose. They got you here, but they can't take you where you're going. You owe it to yourself to evolve beyond them. You owe it to yourself to become the person your future demands. And yes, that will require courage, courage to let go, courage to change, courage to start over if you must. But the truth is, starting over isn't weakness, it's strength. It means you refuse to stay stuck. It means you're still willing to fight for more. You can rebuild from anything when you realize you were the builder all along. And you're not defined by the setbacks. You're defined by the comeback. You're not defined by what broke you. You're defined by how you rebuild. That's what real strength looks like, not perfection, not pretending everything is fine, but rising every single time life knocks you down. Because every fall gives you something no success ever could: resilience. And resilience is the muscle that separates those who wish from those who win. It's built every time you keep going without seeing progress, every time you trust yourself when no one else does, every time you choose growth over comfort. Resilience is earned, and once you have it, no one can take it from you. But even resilience needs direction. You can't just work hard, you must work with intention. Hard work without purpose is exhaustion, not progress. That's why you must know your why. Why do you get up every morning? Why do you push through the pain? Why do you want more? Because when your why is strong enough, your how becomes easy, and your why is the fuel that keeps your fire burning when the world goes dark. It's the force that keeps you grounded when chaos surrounds you. Without it, you'll quit the moment things get uncomfortable. But when your why is rooted in purpose, when it's about more than just you, it becomes unstoppable, because when your actions serve something greater than your ego, the universe conspires to help you. And you were meant to be more than a spectator in your own life. You were meant to be a force of creation. Every time you choose growth, every time you choose love over fear, contribution over comfort, persistence over quitting, you expand what's possible, not just for yourself, but for everyone who sees you. You become proof of what's possible, and that's how impact is made. Not by shouting the loudest or achieving the most, but by living in alignment with your truth. By becoming the example. By showing others that it's possible to live with purpose, power, and passion, even in a world that tries to dim your light. And so, let your life be your message, let your resilience be your legacy, let your growth be your greatest contribution. Don't just tell the world what you believe, show it through how you live, how you love, and how you lead yourself every day. And because at the end of it all, it's not about what you have, it's about who you've become. It's not about the trophies, the titles, or the applause. It's about knowing you gave everything you had to become the fullest expression of who you were created to be. It's about waking up each day with purpose, going to bed with peace, and living in between with passion. And when you live that way, when you operate from truth instead of fear, from purpose instead of pressure, life begins to unfold in ways you never imagined. Doors open, opportunities flow. People are drawn to your energy. And you realize that the power you were chasing was within you all along. And you've had it from the start. You just needed to remember.